Dear Leo, something inevitable is coming, and it is going to change everything. A karmic disaster is unfolding, and you're not here by accident. You didn't find this message found you. The universe is calling your name, and today, that call has reached a frequency you can no longer ignore. This video is not just a forecast. It is a portal into truth, into transformation, into the radical undoing of all that no longer serves your soul. You've been in the spotlight for so long, Leo, leading, inspiring, performing, creating. You know how to shine. But even stars collapse before they're reborn into something greater. And now, the very light that has carried you is being tested by shadows you've tried to outrun. What if this breakdown isn't a punishment but a sacred invitation? What if the pain you've been resisting is the teacher that leads you home to your true self? Let me ask you something you might not have dared to say aloud. Have you felt like your life has become a performance? Like you're playing a role so well, you've forgotten who's beneath the mask? The applause is still loud, but the joy is fading. You're surrounded by admiration, but feel more alone than ever. That's not weakness. That's awakening. This karmic wave isn't gentle. It comes to tear down what's false so the truth can rise. You may feel exposed, uncertain, even broken, but beneath every breakdown is a breakthrough. And I promise you, what awaits on the other side is not more control, but freedom. In the teachings of ancient wisdom, we are reminded that clinging creates suffering. The tighter we hold on to who we think we should be, the more painful the unraveling becomes. But Leo, you are not meant to be tamed by your past. You are meant to be reborn by it. And this exact moment you're listening, just the beginning of your return. You're not losing everything. You're shedding what no longer belongs to the highest version of you. The masks, the expectations, the roles that kept you safe are crumbling. And while it may feel brutal, it is holy. Because it is real. So if you felt an invisible pressure building in your chest, a voice inside whispering that change is near, if you've seen signs, repeated numbers, strange dreams, or sudden emotional storms, this is why. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt from truth. Not the truth others want from you, but the one your soul has been screaming for. If you're still with me, then I know you're ready. And if that readiness stirs something in you, comment below and say, I am Leo. I accept this karmic shift. I choose to rise with purpose. Let me take a moment to say thank you, not just for watching, but for showing up for yourself. Every like, every comment, every subscription is not just support for this channel. It is a declaration to the universe that you're ready to evolve. It connects you deeper to this family, to eternal mindfulness, and to the light you're meant to embody. And trust me, I will want to stay until the very last second of this video. What the cosmos is revealing to you today is not just shocking. It is sacred. So take a breath, open your heart, and ask yourself, what within me is ready to be destroyed so that something divine can finally emerge? Leo, you were born under the light of the sun, not only to shine, but to illuminate the path for others. The world looks to you for strength, for vision, for radiance. You carry within you the archetype of the leader, the performer, the brave heart who dares to live with passion and purpose. But even the brightest stars must collapse to become something greater. And now, the universe is calling your name, not to punish you, but to purify you. The karmic cycle unfolding now isn't subtle. It doesn't whisper. It crashes through your ego, through your comfort zones, through every illusion you've built to protect the image of who you thought you had to be. And yet, beneath that crash lies the calmest truth. The person you are becoming is more real than any version you've ever tried to perform. Astrologically, Leo is ruled by the sun, the core of identity, visibility, and life force. This makes your path deeply intertwined with your sense of self. But that is exactly why the karmic reset begins there. It asks you to strip away every external role, every title, every social expectation that no longer aligns with your soul. And if you resist, the universe will push harder, not to destroy you, but to help you remember that your light doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment. When the Tower card appears in the tarot, it signals the collapse of false constructs, the very structures we've relied on for safety but that secretly kept us imprisoned. The sun follows, reminding us that after destruction, clarity arrives. Then comes death, not an end, but a transformation, a composting of the outdated self so that the essential self can bloom. These three cards are not random, they are the map of your rebirth. There is a teaching that says, what you cling to is what you become. The more tightly you hold onto your image, your reputation, your need to be seen a certain way, the more painful your liberation will feel. But if you soften, even just a little, and begin to ask, what am I beyond this identity? You'll discover that what you thought was the edge of your world is only the beginning of your truth. The karmic forces now are pressing you not because you've failed, but because you've outgrown who you used to be. The roles you played were never wrong, they brought you here. But now, they've become too small for your expanding soul. And so, the universe in its quiet wisdom is dismantling everything that kept you confined. That may mean a loss of status. It may mean a relationship shifts or ends. It may mean the career path you once clung to becomes unbearable. But it's not chaos. It's design. From a place of deeper knowing, we understand that impermanence is not cruelty, it is mercy. It is through loss that space is made for truth. And this is your moment, Leo. Not to control what falls apart, but to become curious about what remains. What is left when the lights go out and the curtain falls? Who are you when no one is watching? This is not the end of your story. It is the shedding of a skin that can no longer contain you. And though it may sting, you are not being asked to shrink. You are being asked to rise not as a role, but as a soul. One breath at a time, one truth at a time. Let the fire burn away the illusion. What's left will be gold. As the karmic wave moves through your chart, Leo, it does not arrive with subtlety, it strikes where the identity has hardened, where stagnation has taken root beneath the performance of purpose. And when karma arrives, it does not just ask you to let go, it unearths what you never thought you'd have to face. In this moment, 5 dimensions of your life are being touched not by punishment, but by purification. Each one reflects not a loss, but a reckoning, a return to your soul's original tone, the one you were born to express before the noise of the world reshaped your voice. The first wave hits the throne of power and ego. For someone ruled by the sun, power is not just authority, it's visibility, recognition, and influence. But when the Emperor appears reversed in the tarot, it suggests that control has become a cage. If you've been trying to manage how others see you, hold too tightly to outcomes, or hide your vulnerability behind charisma, this is where the unraveling begins. The lucky color blue here isn't just a hue, it's a symbol of surrender. Blue is the frequency of honest expression and energetic humility. Number 5, the number of change, reminds you that true leadership begins when the mask comes off and you meet the world with nothing but your truth. Then comes love, not the romantic fantasy, but the mirror of intimacy. Relationships that were maintained for aesthetics, image, or convenience begin to reveal their cracks. The Lovers and the reverse Two of Cups suggest that this is not the time for illusions. It is the time to ask, am I loving freely, or am I just afraid to be alone? That's a piercing question. But love without truth is dependency, not connection. In the quiet of your heart, begin to affirm, I allow my heart to love without wearing a mask. That one sentence can unlock years of suppression. Career follows closely behind, the place where your identity and survival instinct often intersect. The reverse 10 of Pentacles and Judgment speak clearly. If your path has become only about titles, money, or validation, it may soon collapse. Not to hurt you but to set you free from a life that no longer feeds your essence. Ask yourself the question that terrifies and liberates at the same time. If money were no object, what would I create from the center of my being? You may be surprised. Teaching, mentoring, creating all forms of authentic contribution now carry more weight than status or salary. The fourth realm is creativity, the long-forgotten gateway of your soul. For years, your inner artist may have been told to sit still while your adult self chased productivity. But now, the Star and Ace of Wands bring a surge of vision, impulse, inspiration. Creativity isn't indulgent, it's sacred. It's the language of the soul. Whether through painting, dance, writing, storytelling, or music, this is your invitation to reintroduce yourself to your essence through expression. Let the colors orange and gold surround you. They are not only radiant, but they stimulate the creative energy you've buried. Finally, your body. The silent witness to everything you've suppressed. Karma speaks through symptoms when emotions are silenced. The heart, the spine, the blood pressure, these are the loudspeakers now. The Moon and the Hanged Man say, stop, listen, realign. This is not the time to push through or numb out. It's the time to rebuild trust with your physical self. Support your body with movement that connects rather than punishes. Nourish it with greens, CoQ10, garlic, light. Let morning sunlight kiss your skin like a blessing. And if you dare, ask yourself gently, how long have I abandoned my body in order to stay in control? This chapter isn't about losing control. It's about releasing what no longer resonates with your evolution. These 5 areas are not crumbling to destroy you, they are realigning to reflect who you've always been underneath the noise. Be patient. Be honest. Be willing to let go. What comes next is not a smaller version of you, it's the version that's finally free. By the time the karmic tide begins pulling at the roots of your identity, the signs have already started to show. Not in grand, cinematic scenes, but in the quiet tremors of your inner world. And though these signs often go unnoticed at first, they grow louder, more frequent, until they become impossible to ignore. When you're in the middle of a karmic realignment, it doesn't announce itself with certainty. It asks questions instead through your emotions, your dreams, your patterns, and your pain. One of the earliest signs is that your dreams begin to shift. You may see imagery that unsettles you, lights dimming, fires flickering out, a wounded lion standing alone. You may wake up breathless, confused, or filled with a strange knowing you can't explain. Dreams are not just subconscious clutter, they are the nervous system of the soul. When you dream of your light fading, it's a signal that the version of you that once burned bright may no longer be sustainable. Not because it failed, but because it has completed its purpose. The image of a lion, wounded or falling, is not a defeat, it is the moment before the roar returns with a deeper voice. Then there's the feeling that you're no longer fully yourself. You wake up and sense that something has shifted, not outside, but inside. The foods you once craved no longer satisfy. The music that once energized you now feels hollow. The conversations feel forced, and your laughter doesn't reach your chest. This disconnection is not depression. It is deconstruction. The self you've outgrown is slipping away, and your body, your emotions, and your awareness are trying to catch up. You are not lost. You are in the process of remembering who you were before the world asked you to forget. Perhaps the most frustrating sign is repetition. The same conflict, the same kind of person, the same financial struggle, the same sense of betrayal, all looping back into your life with different faces but identical lessons. At first, this feels like bad luck. But if you lean in with honesty, you'll see that life is not punishing you. It's pointing at something you haven't yet healed. The same script plays until the actor learns their line. What are you still avoiding? What pattern are you loyal to that no longer serves your evolution? Pain is often the loudest sign. It's not the one we want, but it's often the one we finally listen to. A sudden heartbreak, a job loss, a family rupture, or a moment of unexpected grief, all of it arrives like a sharp wind, shaking the illusions loose. What you thought was stability falls apart, and in its place is rawness. The truth, stripped bare. In that silence, you can finally hear what your intuition has been whispering for months. This isn't your punishment. It's your permission. Karmic shifts don't arrive to break you. They arrive to break the version of you that settled for survival instead of alignment. They demand clarity, not perfection. They offer liberation, not comfort. And they come with signs. The more you ignore them, the louder they become. But once you begin to recognize them, something beautiful happens. Your awareness becomes your compass. You begin to trust the discomfort, to walk into the unknown with steady breath and open heart. So ask yourself, gently, how many of these signs have shown up in your life recently? Not just the dreams, not just the emotional distance, but the quiet sense that something greater is calling you through the noise. You are not going crazy. You are waking up. Share in the comments what signs have arrived for you. That act of naming them is powerful. It says to the universe, I see the message. I am listening. I am ready to grow. And you are not alone. This moment is part of a much larger unfolding. You are in the spiral not because you're lost but because you're returning to your center. There comes a point in every karmic cycle where awareness alone is not enough. The signs have spoken. The patterns have repeated. The disruptions have unfolded. Now comes the moment when you must choose how you will move through the spiral. Will you fight the current, or will you let it teach you how to swim in a new direction? The choice isn't about control. It's about presence. When everything you thought you needed begins to fall away, these 5 keys will help you stay grounded, not just to survive the storm, but to be changed by it in a way that reveals your most authentic self. The first key is surrendering control, not as an act of weakness but as an initiation into clarity. You may have been taught that strength means holding it all together, keeping your image polished, staying in command. But there is a deeper kind of power that only arises when you stop gripping and start breathing. Intelligent surrender means understanding what's yours to hold and what's never been yours to carry. When you release the illusion that you must shape every outcome, you create space for life to meet you in ways you couldn't have planned. Sometimes, losing your grip is the only way to find your ground. The second key is turning toward the shadows within, gently but directly. These karmic times will surface emotions that have long been buried: grief, jealousy, fear, guilt. Instead of running from them or rationalizing them away, write them down. Speak them aloud. Sit with them. Emotional processing isn't indulgent, it's the beginning of freedom. Try asking yourself, what have I feared losing the most? What stories have I told myself to stay safe but small? The answers won't always be comfortable, but they will be true. And truth, even when it hurts, is a form of healing. The third key is to begin listening again, not just to the world around you, but to the subtle voice within. Dreams become more vivid during karmic shifts, and their symbols are often messages from parts of you that don't yet have words. Recurring images, patterns, or synchronicities are not random. They are reflections of the internal dialogue your conscious mind has tried to ignore. Keep a journal by your bed. Track the images that repeat. Pull a single tarot card in the morning and let your intuition speak before your logic can interfere. These small rituals build trust with your inner guidance, which is essential when the outer world feels uncertain. The fourth key is rediscovering the passions you once forgot, especially those that brought you joy without agenda. Before the deadlines, before the need to be productive, there were things that lit you up simply because they made you feel alive. Maybe it was dancing barefoot, writing stories, singing in secret, or sketching faces on napkins. These forgotten joys are not childish. They are sacred threads back to your soul. Do something creative that has no purpose other than to bring you home to yourself. This is not about results. It's about remembering that joy itself is nourishment. And finally, the fifth key is to become your own source of light. It sounds poetic, but it is profoundly practical. So much of suffering stems from waiting for validation, for recognition, for someone to tell us we're enough. But in karmic transformation, waiting becomes a form of delay. Start affirming your worth, not because someone else told you so, but because you've chosen to know it. Say to yourself often and aloud, I am the light I've been looking for. Not because it sounds nice, but because it's true. And the more you claim that truth, the more the world around you begins to reflect it back. You are not here to merely endure this shift. You are here to emerge from it whole, illuminated, and more aligned than ever before. These 5 practices aren't steps to rush through. They are invitations. Choose one. Begin slowly. And watch what opens when you stop resisting and start remembering who you really are. There was once a Leo woman named Camille, known in her circle as the Radiant One. She was the kind of person who lit up a room just by walking into it. Her voice carried conviction. Her laughter was contagious. Her presence felt like fire and gold and everything alive. She was a leader, not by force, but by sheer gravitational energy. People followed her not because she asked them to, but because they believed in her light. And for a long time, that light felt untouchable. But then came the year that stripped it all away. Her long-standing career gone overnight due to a corporate collapse she didn't see coming. Her closest friendships fractured by truths that had long been buried under politeness and pride. A relationship she thought would last a lifetime shattered by silence and unmet needs. And her health, once glowing with vitality, began to crack under the weight of suppressed grief. What had once made her strong was now breaking her open. She described it as standing in a burning house with no doors and no instructions. At first, she fought back. She tried to rebuild the image, force the momentum, push through the pain. But nothing held. The more she resisted, the more the universe dissolved her illusions. She said it felt like being erased in slow motion. And yet beneath the panic, something subtle began to emerge. A softness. A space. A question. One night, unable to sleep, she sat in silence with nothing but the sound of her own breath. And in that stillness, she heard the quietest whisper, "You don't have to be strong anymore. You just have to be honest." It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even comfortable. But it was real. And real was something she hadn't touched in years. So, she stopped trying to rebuild what was lost. She stopped trying to explain herself to people who had already walked away. She let the collapse complete itself. And when it did, she did something she hadn't done since she was a teenager. She started painting again. At first it was just lines and color. Then stories began to form. Her hands remembered something her mind had long forgotten: how to create without permission. The more she painted, the more she healed. She no longer needed applause, she just needed truth. Her art began to reflect what she couldn't yet say out loud: her grief, her rage, her renewal. Eventually, someone saw one of her pieces and asked to buy it. Then another. And another. But more than income, what she gained was alignment. Her expression wasn't a product, it was a bridge. And that bridge became her new offering to the world. Camille now teaches art to women going through their own life collapses. She doesn't preach. She doesn't promise quick fixes. She just tells the truth and shows others how to put color to pain, line to longing, form to the parts of themselves they forgot were sacred. She has become a guide not by wearing a crown, but by holding a light. When I asked her what she believes the collapse was really about, she smiled and said, "It wasn't the end. It was the clearing. My old life had to die so I could stop pretending. And in that space, I finally found the one person I was always trying to impress myself." Her story is not just hers. It is a mirror. What looks like devastation is often divine redirection. The ground must be cleared before new roots can take hold. And the version of you who emerges after the fall is not weaker. They are wiser, softer, deeper, and infinitely more true. So if you're in that moment where the fire is high and the way forward unclear, remember this: the end is not the end. It's the unmaking of who you are not, so that who you truly are can finally come home. You've come this far for a reason. You didn't just stumble upon this message. Something within you already knew that change was near, that your soul had outgrown the roles, the labels, the comfort zones that once felt safe. The karmic transformation we've explored today is not about punishment. It's about release. It's about learning to let go of what no longer honors your truth, so you can step into a version of yourself that isn't built on expectation, but on essence. There is nothing more courageous than being willing to see clearly, especially when what you see asks you to change. But transformation does not ask for perfection. It only asks for honesty. Can you be honest about the weight you've carried for too long? Can you be honest about the parts of you that are tired of pretending? And can you, in this very moment, begin to choose a new way forward, not because the old path was wrong, but because it no longer feels alive? This is what karma truly does. It doesn't destroy you. It breaks apart everything that was built on survival instead of truth. It dismantles the stories you've outgrown, not because you're failing, but because your soul is ready to evolve. You are not here to stay small. You are here to rise, not in the eyes of others, but in the eyes of your own becoming. So ask yourself now, what would shift if I stopped running and started listening? What would open if I stopped gripping and started releasing? What part of me is finally ready to stop performing and start living? These are not easy questions, but they are sacred ones. They are the kind of questions that turn karmic chaos into conscious rebirth. And if any part of you feels ready, just a flicker, just a whisper, then I invite you to say it out loud or write it in the comments below. I am Leo. I am ready to release what no longer serves me. I choose to become the light I've always been. I don't fear karma. I honor it. Because I know it only removes what my soul is done carrying. Thank you, truly, for being here. Every like, every comment, every moment you spend engaging with this channel, Eternal Mindfulness, is part of something bigger than a video. It is part of a movement, a remembrance, a return. You being here helps this space grow. And your growth helps the world heal. If this message touched you, stay with me until the next one. Because the universe is still speaking. And you, Leo, are still unfolding. Never forget, you don't have to roar to be powerful. Sometimes, your quietest decision to keep walking is your loudest act of courage. You are not here to survive this transformation. You are here to lead it, be the light within you.